and welcome to Miami Seaquarium's Aquatic Alert video, Saving South Florida's Endangered Species. Did you know that according to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, there are currently more than 70 different plant and animal species found right here in the state of Florida that are listed as endangered. Now these include mammals, reptiles, birds, invertebrates, and fish. Now saving these species is our responsibility. Let's begin with one of Florida's most famous marine mammals, the Florida manatee. Manatees are very slow-moving creatures that spend most of their day feeding on aquatic vegetation in shallow coastal water areas. Unfortunately, these waters are also areas in which manatees can be harmed. Miami Seaquarium is one of only 3 manatee critical care facilities in the entire country. Many of the animals brought to the Seaquarium have been injured due to collisions with watercraft vehicles, like boats and jet skis. Now there are 2 parts of these vehicles that can injure a manatee. The first is the hull, or bottom of the boat. When a manatee surfaces to breathe, it often collides with the hull, breaking bones and damaging internal organs. The second are the blades of the motor, which can cut a manatee when it's near the surface. This is Phoenix. She was hit by a boat. At the time of her rescue, the blades of the motor had cut off 3/4 of her back paddle. The injury resulted in the loss of nearly 1/4 of her blood volume. Portions of her backbone were crushed during the accident, leaving her paralyzed from the midsection down. Another problem facing manatees is entanglement in fishing line and other foreign debris. Due to their naturally curious behavior, manatees will often play with items they find in their environment. This is Bonnie. She's been rescued and brought to Miami Seaquarium on 3 different occasions, each time due to flipper entanglement. A combination of stainless steel, rope, and monofilament fishing line were found on Bonnie's right flipper and became deeply embedded, causing bone fractures and massive infection. In order to prevent further damage, her flipper had to be amputated. Now to make sure Bonnie doesn't get into trouble yet again, she was fitted with a tracking device similar to this. Inside the buoy is the actual transmitter, which sends a signal through the antenna to a satellite. The satellite then sends information to a scientist's computer. If Bonnie were to get into trouble again, the computer would allow us to locate her in the wild. The buoy is attached to the manatee just before release, with a belt that's wrapped around its back paddle. When the manatee swims away, the buoy is pulled along for the ride, transmitting valuable data for months to come. Other good candidates for tracking devices include orphans who've spent much of their young life in rehabilitation facilities. Now, being reintroduced back into the environment means locating and feeding on seagrass beds, establishing new migration routes, and locating freshwater outlets, all for the very first time and without the help of their mothers. Baby manatees must spend the first 2 years of their life nursing from their mothers. Calves found alone in the wild usually means trouble. Sometimes mothers become injured or separated from their young unintentionally. Other times they may voluntarily choose to abandon their sick or injured calf if they become unable to care for it. Miami Seaquarium has had great success stories with baby manatees. Hours of bottle feedings and preventative veterinary care have raised healthy young manatees ready to be reintroduced back into their natural environment. Whenever possible, younger animals are released in pairs or with more experienced animals in the hopes that they will make their transition back into the wild more successful. Now that you've had a chance to meet some of Florida's endangered species, what can we do to help save them? Let's review all the information we've learned today to see if we can't find a few small ways to make a big difference. Collision with motorcraft vehicles is a major problem for manatees. What 2 parts of a boat cause these injuries? If you guess the hull and the motor blades, then you are correct. To avoid injuries to a manatee while on a boat, you should always wear polarized sunglasses to help you see into the waters ahead of you. Obey posted speed signs, especially during manatee season. And try to stay out of shallow water areas while in your boat. This is where manatees tend to eat and rest. True or false? Feeding manatees lettuce and providing them with a freshwater hose is a safe and fun way to help save the manatees. As exciting and tempting as it may be to interact with manatees in their wild environment, providing them with food and water is not a good idea. You see, manatees follow a natural migration pattern based on food sources and freshwater outlets. When we provide them with the food and water they would naturally migrate for, we break these cycles, thus in turn encouraging them to continue swimming into busy residential areas and even up to boats. Congratulations! It looks like you did a great job learning more about Florida's endangered species. Whether it's a mammal, reptile, fish, or a bird, all living animals serve a purpose. It's our responsibility to protect these animals, respect them, and provide them with the food, space, and shelter they need to survive. With no respect, we lose animals. Can you imagine a world without crocodiles, alligators, manatees, or sea turtles? I can't, and I hope we never have to. Until next time, thanks for joining me, and remember to do your part to help save Florida's endangered species. Bye-bye.